How's it going, guys? In today's video I just want to cover my experience with the MacBook M1, and I'm using currently the MacBook M1 2020 with 8GB of RAM and 256GB of memory. So it's the most bare version and the cheapest model you can find on the Apple Store today, and I got it on offer on Amazon. It was 750 euros, so I think it was a good deal. It works perfectly fine for what I have to do, and that's actually all I wanted to discuss in today's video, was whether it's a good laptop for coding. And I'm going to base this all off of web development, Python development, and iOS development. Although iOS and Android should be very similar. And to get started, here we are in Xcode, and I can just show you the speed immediately when it comes to doing things, such as, let's pretend we want a new emulator. Let's go to iPhone 11. Now it's going to take a moment to rebuild it, and let's see what happens. It's preparing the iPhone simulator for the preview. So it does take a few moments to change simulators, but usually you will never have to do that. Now we successfully changed to the iPhone 11, and that took about 20 seconds. So it did require some time to create a new simulator. But let's go back to the iPhone 13, and switching to the iPhone 13 took nearly no time because it was already created a while back and it's cached into Xcode. So that's understandable that it takes about 20 seconds to create a new simulator. But now let's go ahead and try to run the iPhone 13. So if I go ahead and click on run to actually open the emulator, this is all happening in live time. The build has succeeded, and now we just wait for the app to launch. So now the emulator has started up, and it took maybe 10 seconds for the first time you start it, which is a reasonable amount of time to wait for it. And now it's all started up after about, let's say, 25 seconds. We can use it nice and smoothly. The emulator works very, very fast. So it's actually a very cool thing to have on your computer. I remember on my old MacBook, this would take so much time to start and it would lag between screens, but everything inside here is ultra smooth and very easy to use. It feels like a normal iPhone on your MacBook. So that's great. It works really fast. Of course, there are some limitations to the emulator. A lot of things it might perform a lot slower, such as image processing, but that's only going to be on the emulator. On a real iPhone, it's going to work a lot faster. So the emulator is a bit slower than the real iPhone. But let's go ahead and pretend we made a change to our program and rerun the whole app itself. At that point, it's literally going to take 2 seconds to restart it. So it's ultra fast and very easy to start. I mean, there's no lag, there's nothing there that will stop us from creating an app. And if we want to do some live preview, we can just turn that on, and we can remove the padding from this text, and it's going to update it immediately. We can add the padding again. We can also just remove a toggle switch completely like that. It will remove it completely, and we can add it back. And you'll see that it's going to add it ultra fast. Then we also have this live preview, so we can actually use the app inside here. Although this one's very buggy. It doesn't work half the time, but this time it looks like it's working perfectly. So even that works very great. And there's no lag whatsoever at the moment on my MacBook. But as I mentioned earlier, as you can see, we have the M1 2020, we have the chip with the Apple M1, which I just mentioned over here, I guess. We have 8GB of RAM, and this is the most basic version of the MacBook Air. Right now I have it connected to my dual monitor, and I just have to say that for dual monitors, you need to be very precise because it's really hard to get the resolution correct, since the new Apple laptops have a very special resolution, which means right now it's doing its best to convert it to this resolution, but on my external monitor, no matter what resolution I set it to, it's always going to appear a little bit blurry. So that's extremely annoying with the new MacBooks, that we can't really fit this resolution. Usually it's set to 1400, but for the new MacBooks, they decided 1600 was a good key for the MacBook Air at least. And that just makes it very incompatible with a lot of external monitors. So you're going to really have to look into getting a monitor that is compatible with this. I've tried with 3 to 4 monitors, including the iPad, and they all sucked. I mean, the iPad was the closest to having a crisp external monitor. The only problem with the Sidecar was that it had a lot of lag a lot of lag, not just a little bit, like a lot of lag. Once your computer started working hard, it would disconnect, it would lag a lot, so it just wasn't worth it in the long run. So I had to scrap the idea of using an iPad, although that was the best chance you had of reading things pixel perfect. With the rest, I decided to go for a much cheaper monitor. I'm just living with it being slightly blurry, and yeah, that's how it is. I believe that's what's going to happen if you have a MacBook Air. Either you have to spend money on a very expensive monitor, or you're just going to have to live with it being slightly blurry. So for the dual monitor, I'm going to have to give it a very poor score because it's incredibly annoying how blurry it is on an external monitor. And in terms of memory, is 250 gigabytes enough? I would have to say no, it's not. It fills up incredibly fast in today's age. Back in the day, let's say 10 years ago, 250 gigabytes would be plenty. You would have text files and very small files that wouldn't even take up your system storage. But in today's age, I mean, my memory is going down as we speak. I don't even know what I'm doing at the moment, but it's going down. And yeah, I mean, it fills up really fast. Every time I record a video, and maybe that's exactly what's happening. I'm recording a video right now, so it's using the memory as we speak. And a simple video file can take up to 5 to 10 gigabytes. So I have to regularly push it out to an external hard drive. So if you have the chance, I would definitely recommend going for a MacBook with a higher memory. Otherwise, you can manage with the MacBook Air. I've been managing for the past 6 months. It's just once a month I have to push everything to an external hard drive, and that's fine. But if you have the money, definitely upgrade it to something with some more memory. In other words, I would say 8 gigabytes of RAM is plenty for what you need the MacBook Air for. But I do have to say that the benefit of having a MacBook Air for 750 euros, which is acceptable in my terms, is that you can now do iOS development, and it opens the door for a lot of opportunities when it comes to development, because Apple has a very expensive market share, which means even if it's accessible to a lot less people, the people that it is accessible to have a lot more money. Plus it opens the door to cross-platform development. So to sum up this video, I've been using this computer for the past 6 months, and it's been lovely. It's been fast, it's light to carry, and everything is perfect. The speakers aren't so good, I have to say, and the camera itself, you can see me in the corner, that is the camera, so the camera's alright. But in terms of creating apps, especially for iPhone or for Android, you're going to have very fast emulators, and you're not going to even notice the delay as you would on your old computers. The M1 is incredibly fast and very well made, so I definitely recommend it if it's one of your first computers or it's the upgrade you want to make. If you want to do something like machine learning, it should also be fine, but of course, look into getting more RAM or getting the MacBook Pro, because those are more designed for heavy processors, while the MacBook Air is just like the bare, basic Apple MacBook that can get everything done, but you might have some very slight delays. So do I recommend the MacBook Air 2020 M1 model with 8 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage? I would say I do, but only if you can get it for an affordable price, of course. If I had to pay 1,100 euros, I wouldn't be into it, but 750 seemed perfectly fine for me. Wherever you can find it for a good offer, go for it. It's definitely going to boost your options in terms of development careers. But anyways, guys, I really hope this video gave you a slight clue on whether you should get a MacBook Air or not. I mean, of course, you can get the upgrade with 16 gigabytes of RAM, but I've never encountered an issue that required me to have 16 gigabytes. But with that being said, as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.